We're good. Go ahead.
Okay, with your name and your date of birth and where you grew up here.
My name's Tina Kirk, and I was born at Dwyer Memorial Hospital in 1969. My sister and I were the first twins born in the hospital.
Oh.
And we later were candy stripers at the hospital when it was Dwyer Community Hospital. And there were a number of folks who worked there that remembered us because we were 2 months premature and born in the hospital. So they told us stories about feeding us with medicine droppers and cutting diapers in quarters. So we got to talk to nurses who held us when we were just born, and met the doctor who delivered us. And
what doctor was that?
Dr. Hewitt.
Okay.
Yeah, and we are identical twins, and so we would work generally on Saturdays, and I would work usually the 8 to 12 shift, and she would work the 12 to 4, or vice versa. And the folks at the hospital would frequently say, "Slow down, you can take it easy." We never ran, but we were dedicated, so we had our little candy striper uniforms on, and when we were asked to deliver something, an IV bag from the pharmacy to the medical wing, then we would walk briskly because we took our duties seriously and wanted to be prompt. And it wasn't until there was some sort of public interest thing on TV and we were tapped to be part of that, the next weekend we were there, and we got lots of, "We didn't know you were twins." They thought we were one person working from 8 to 4.
Yeah, sure. I can see that. That's great. Did you happen to know Leslie Townsend?
Yes, I think she was the community
foundation.
So I think she was
just
the one
retired.
So, I believe she's the woman who. I could be wrong, but I believe she's the woman who onboarded us as candy stripers.
Oh,
I'd have to look
nice.
I'd have to look back through my notes. I could be wrong.
Oh, you kept notes.
It's a while.
Okay. And so, where did you live?
We live right around the corner on Washington Street. So
around the corner
from the museum
here.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that's where we moved. First, we lived over on Southeast 31st on Washington, right around the corner from the little store over there on Washington.
Oh, right.
And then when we were in 4th grade, so sometime in the early 70s, my parents bought their first home over on Washington Street, and we moved there.
Washington and
37th.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
all
so
right.
right
That's
here.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So you went to Milwaukie. The two of you went to Milwaukie grade school. And
From kindergarten to 3rd grade, we went to Milwaukie Elementary, and then we went to Rao Junior High, and then Milwaukie High School. And we also have a younger sister that's just a couple years younger than us. So she also, followed behind us a year or two in each of the schools. So.
Oh, nice. And what about your parents? What brought them to Milwaukie?
When they both grew up in Portland, and my mom was born and raised in Portland, and my dad moved there to Portland. His family moved to Portland from Oklahoma. And at the time, they wanted the better schools for their kids, so they looked for Milwaukie, a Milwaukie address, so they could send us to Milwaukie schools.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you know where they lived, what section of Portland they lived in before?
Sellwood. They grew up in Sellwood.
Oh, so they didn't go that far.
No, it wasn't that far.
Yeah. So you're the second generation Milwaukeeans.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And my mom actually went to Milwaukie High School.
Oh. So third generation.
Yeah, so she went to Milwaukie High School, and then my sisters and I went to Milwaukie High School, and then my niece went to Milwaukie High School, and then my daughter graduated from Milwaukie High School. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could probably tell us some things about Milwaukie. Where did you hang out as a kid?
Well, we hung out a lot in Pietro's Pizza.
Okay.
Every Friday that there was a home game, we went. If there was a dance, and then we'd go to Pietro's after the dance. So that was one of our hangouts. And then the Dairy Queen that was down in downtown Milwaukee.
So this is in high school?
In high school, yeah.
Okay.
So
did you swim at the junior high?
we did, and I think what it cost, like 15 cents at the time.
Yeah.
And we could walk there from, even as little kids, you know, we could walk there from our house over on Southeast 31st and clutching our dime and nickel to get to the junior high and swim and then come back. We also went to the Cinema V. Back then they had
the Victory?
Yeah, they had a summer kids special where our parents could buy the summer season passes, and they had weekly Apple Dumpling Gang and what are those ones? Herbie, you know, the Volkswagen,
Disney ones.
and yeah. So they played all of those movies, and it wasn't. We just had to. There were little tear-offs. You know, they would send us home with little tear-offs each week, and we could present that as our tickets. And I remember all of us kids lined up against the side of the building, waiting until they could let us in, and then again having our dime, you know, to buy candy. And I always got the Charm sucker, and every week I can't find them anymore. But we all had the little things we liked to get, and it was all of our classmates, you know, there lined up waiting to get in. So
yeah, even when I was that old, you could hardly get into the Victory Theater on Saturdays, just jam-packed with kids.
Yeah, it was really great and in walking distance, and it was fairly, you know, safe. And then,
and did you shop downtown Milwaukee, or?
We didn't shop much at all, you know, as kids, and didn't shop Milwaukee. I think there was a stationer down there. We would, I remember my aunt buying me my first little pocket dictionary and stuff when I went to college from the stationer there. And then, of course, Olson's Drugs, you know, we would go there for the soda fountain.
Olson's Five and Dime.
Yeah. So we would go there every now and then. And, the candy store once in a blue moon, you know. Of course, we spent a lot of time at the Leading Library, and we'd go over there and feed the ducks and check out books, and that was the librarians were always very helpful, you know, when you were.
They still are.
They are. They're wonderful.
They really are wonderful.
Yeah. Did you participate in any of the activities in downtown?
Yeah.
Like what you know?
Milwaukee Festival Days.
No, I didn't. My mom might have done more. She might if she were here, she might say that. Yeah, you did. Don't you remember? I know. She participates in the like the umbrella parade now with my great niece. They do that stuff. I know the high school would take part in. And you know, there was a homecoming parade, and then sometimes things with the city that the high school would have floats. So my dad would let us have his truck, and we could decorate his truck to be part of the parade. So
nice.
That was fun.
So what would you say now, as a kid, what would you say was your favorite part of Milwaukee, living in Milwaukee?
Well, I like that we could roam. You know, we could go all over the place and not be afraid. I think, you know, nowadays kids don't have that same degree of freedom that we had, and I don't know that it's that safer or dangerous or what, but that definitely we could. You know, there was nothing for, you know, the old story of, you know, tell my parents we're going to somebody's house and then be home before dark was
that was
the
kind
rule.
Of the times too.
Right. We didn't have cell phones. Usually if they needed us, Mom could call whatever parent they thought we were at, you know, and tell us to tell Tammy and Tina and Crystal to come home.
Somehow there was communication.
Yeah. But we used to walk, you know, we'd make our way over to Elk Rock and, you know, down at the Milwaukie Landing where they had all of the floating logs, you know, and we weren't supposed to, but we'd climb on the logs. And back then that little stretch of road where they're building apartments now, over by Railroad and Monroe, there was a little stretch of road that was blocked off, and the street painters would practice on the road, and that's where we would ride our bikes or play. There were blackberry bushes there, and so all the kids in the neighborhood, that's often where we would end up and find things to do, and sometimes it was just roller skating or riding our bikes back and forth on that little stretch of road. And then, like I said, just wandering around the library, and they had the big old weeping willow that we'd hide under the branches and leaves, and bring our bread to feed the ducks. And let's see, we would just wander out. When we had our bikes, we'd go to Southgate Theater, And,
so that was your favorite part, was the freedom.
yeah, and I guess growing up here, and I'm still friends with people I've known since kindergarten and elementary school, and we still see each other at Milwaukie alumni events or not, just because we're still in town. Hey, let's go have a coffee or go have dinner, and there are plenty of people around still that you have that long-standing relationship with, even if I lived far away for a number of years. I moved to Eugene for school and then moved to the East Coast after that for work. And
you did where?
Yeah, I lived in first in Washington, D.C., and then moved to Pittsburgh for graduate school, and then back to D.C., and then to Alabama, where I worked while my ex-husband went to graduate school, and then we were in Connecticut for 4 or 5 years, and then ended up in Kentucky for about a dozen years, and moved back home in 2018. And then that's where my daughter was able to graduate from Milwaukie High as a senior, so that's when she matriculated there. And so going to the registration and then the parent night at the school, and seeing people I knew who were either teachers now or worked for the school or were other parents. And, so it was a lot of fun to connect, and then of course all the class reunions, connecting with people. So.
And what business did you go into, or what? How do I say that?
Yeah,
what was your vocation?
Yeah, it's changed a little bit, but right now I'm in finance and accounting. So I work for a consulting company that's based out of downtown Portland that does water resource and environmental consulting. So they help keep our earth clean. They help clean up the water, help preserve aquifers, make sure that wells are up to standard, for drinking water. So
I have to ask, what do you think about removing the Kellogg Dam?
That hasn't come up. I'm still learning. I only started at this place a few months ago, so I'll be interested to see about that. I didn't. Hasn't been on my radar.
I just thought maybe you had a personal opinion about it. A lot of people do.
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. And
what's your connection with Milwaukie now? Are you involved in NDRs or neighborhood associations or downtown programs or anything?
No, not now. I moved back in 2018, and then changed jobs in 2019, and got into that, and then we had the pandemic. So I've been pretty much a hermit. So, but I was lucky enough where on my mother's side of the family were Native American, and so we were able to join with and help with some Native American groups that are out of not just Milwaukie High School but the district. And there was some application process so the schools would receive funding through I don't remember which title it is. I want to say Title IX, but that might be the women's thing.
That's okay.
I never remember the titles, but through the Federal Department of Education, and so that was a nice connection that, like I said, went by the wayside. When we had the pandemic, and
everything went by the wayside.
Yeah, a lot of things went by the wayside. But now that we're starting to open up again, it's it's nice to be able to be more involved.
We just didn't mean to interrupt, but we had a young man speak at the Letting Library. Was it two Wednesdays ago? Who was with the Grand Ron? Are you guys associated with that?
No, our tribal affiliation is actually out of North Dakota. So the Native Americans. There are several tribes native Oregon tribes, you know. But our tribe is not that. It's out of North Dakota.
Okay.
The particular tribal affiliation, as far as which reservation my mom's people were from, but the tribal affiliation is Ojibwe or Chippewa, as they're known, and they're North Dakota, Montana, Wisconsin,
is that part
Minnesota.
of the Flatheads?
No, so that's a different tribe.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I know that the
interesting.
Grand Ronde is an affiliated group with multiple different families that have come together.
In Oregon, definitely, yeah. So, but no, the Ojibwe aren't. But you know, Portland has a huge Native American community that includes Oregon tribes, but also tribes from all around the nation. So.
Oh. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's really it's great to be able to celebrate our heritage and share that with others. And in fact, my daughter and I and a cousin are going to talk to her my cousin's son's school group up in Welch's, Oregon. They live up on the mountain and share our Native American heritage with the classroom.
Nice.
So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that'd be fascinating. Do you have artifacts or anything to show, or is it more just a history or
more regalia? You know, so I used to go to powwows, so I have my powwow shawl.
Oh, nice.
And I'm hoping the teacher can show some videos, so I pulled out some videos showing traditional dances.
Oh, nice.
And we're going to create dream catchers for all the kids.
Oh, wow.
And so
will they make them, or will you make them?
We'll make them. There's 28 kids, so there's really not enough time to teach them how to and make a dream catcher. So we're going to make them all except for the last little bit where you attach feathers and stuff to them, and so then they can finish them and make them their own in the classroom.
So this was on your mom's side, you said?
Yeah.
Did she teach you any of that as you were growing up?
Not a whole lot. I mean, we went to powwows growing up, but it wasn't a real big thing. I learned a lot more when I went to college and connected with some folks who had the same tribal affiliation as me, and we all had more time on our hands. You know, Mom was raising 3 kids, married, but raising 3 kids and working full time there. We did a lot as a family. Dad likes to fish, and so many weekends we spent at the coast, and generally we went to Garibaldi and camped at Barview Jetty Park, and so we would enjoy being out in nature, and Mom would teach us about different things in nature, and leaving things as good or better than we found them was a big part of her teachings to us. And then enjoying camping and hiking and going to the woods. We always had a wood burning stove, so we would go cut down the trees that have felled. They let people cut them for firewood, and we spent lots of time stacking firewood. Whoever got in trouble when the wood was chopped ended up stacking the most firewood. That was an easy chore. But then we always had heat,
Sure.
And we didn't have snow like we do now, but we would get the ice storms. And there were times when power would be down for days, and because Mom and Dad liked to camp and usually had a camper, we always had a way to cook. If not the propane heater in the camper, then it was the wood burning stove, and we were always warm. So there were times when all the neighborhood kids were sleeping on our floor because we had heat. So there were the benefits of stacking all of that wood.
Sure. So you said your mom graduated from Milwaukie High, and you graduated, and your daughter. And what years did your mom graduate?
She didn't graduate from there. But she attended there for a year. She moved around a little bit as a kid. But I think she would have been there in 68 or 69. Okay. And then my twin sister and I graduated in 87, and our younger sister graduated, I should know this, I can't remember now if it was 88 or 89. I think she elected to do the 3-year program instead of, by then I was off at college, and very self-absorbed and not paying attention to what was going on with anybody
As
not
you-
with me,
Yeah, as you are. Yeah.
Well, and I went, everybody is,
At
when
that
they go to
age, sure.
college. But
Is your twin still around Milwaukee, or?
no, she, like me, she moved right. She didn't go to college right away. She joined the Navy.
Oh,
And then when I moved, part of the reason I moved to Washington, D.C. is because she and her husband were stationed at Fort Meade in Maryland. So I was able to live with them one term when I was doing my internship to finish at the University of Oregon, and then returned and stayed with them while I was looking for a job, and then moved to D.C. So then when she got out of the Navy, she went to the University of Maryland at College Park,
Oh, nice.
and then eventually went to graduate school in Kentucky. So we sort of followed each other around the country. So I lived with her for a time in Maryland, and then when I moved to Kentucky, she lived with us while she went to UK. So she commuted about 70 miles to go to grad school. It was a lovely drive through the hills of Kentucky.
Oh, sure.
So we graduated in '87, and like I said, I think my little sister graduated in '88, and then my niece, when did she graduate? I should know this. Can't remember.
That's okay.
And my daughter graduated in 2019, 19.
Oh, just recently.
Yeah, and my niece is 30 now, so
Okay.
yeah, I want to say 2010 or something.
So,
I should know this. 2019 or no? That's my daughter. I don't know.
that's all right. It doesn't have to be exact.
Right.
So that must have been something for her to go from the South to Milwaukee.
Yeah, well, she really liked it.
Good.
She enjoyed being, for her, school is school. So she enjoyed that Milwaukee had the arts program. So she wasn't, since she only went there the 1 year, she couldn't really take advantage of the full arts program, but she was able to take classes in drama and be part of the plays. She was able to be the wardrobe, I don't think, the wardrobe mistress or whatever they call them, from one of the plays, and that she loves costuming and sewing and all of that. So she really enjoyed that part of it. It was a little hard, she made friendly acquaintances while she was there, and of course our neighbors kids went to Milwaukee, so friendly acquaintances there. Sure. But being part of family is really what she loved. When we first moved back, since there was a lot of changes all at once, we actually moved into the home that I grew up in.
Wow.
And where my niece and her daughter lived with my mom and dad and then myself. And it's a very full house for a while.
Yes.
But my parents had purchased a home in Warrenton, Oregon. So they were only part-time in Milwaukee. They go back, and they still do. They go back and forth. They're retired and enjoy the coastal life.
Yes.
So we moved in there so that I knew, where to register Hannah for school and that kind of stuff. But it was a lot of fun to be that close to family and being able to babysit the baby whenever we wanted to, and all of that. And then,
if I can get back to Milwaukee here, this is very interesting.
Sure.
But as for our documentary, we're kind of connecting it to Milwaukee. Today, what's your favorite thing and what's your least favorite thing about Milwaukee?
My favorite thing is the trolley trail. It wasn't here when I was growing up, or if it was, it wasn't.
It was a railroad.
Used. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That like, why didn't I know about it? But because I don't know. Because I moved away, so I don't know when it became a trolley trail. But now that I live in Milwaukee and work downtown, I ride a bicycle. I bought an e-bike, and I can just ride my bike a couple blocks on a city road to pick up the trolley trail and ride it, all the way through behind the park and ride, and down through, across Milwaukie Landing and then over to Selwood and catch the Springwater Corridor and all the way to work. I'm
Nice.
on the trolley trail, and it's wonderful to have that as a way to be healthy and have a beautiful commute. And so I love that about being back. Yeah.
And your least favorite?
My least favorite? I think, I'm trying to think. Well, it's, what's my least favorite thing about being back? I think the kind of the explosion of vehicles, you know. And it used to not be a big deal to have the whole family over for an event and have plenty of places to park, and I guess that's just part of it as it grows, but having enough parking, when I grew up over on Washington Street, there were no sidewalks, and so you just kind of park wherever you wanted to. So that's changed a bit, but overall, I think everything's great. It's even thinking about, the bus system is still wonderful, and having the Max down, at the Park and Ride has been great. We've joined the Milwaukie Lodge, the Elks Lodge. So that was something as a kid, I didn't do, and that's a great community to be part of, and having the wonderful public transportation, and but that's not that different than when I was growing up. It's the Max now. I mean, that was brand new when I moved away, but it was never hard to take the bus anywhere I wanted to go. And it's kind of weird, the whole boat ramp thing down in Milwaukie, but I don't have a boat, so but when I was growing up, that's what Dad would always bring his boat down there, and we'd go water skiing and
nice,
and that kind of thing. Yeah, so I don't have a boat, so I don't know what people with boats do anymore. I mean, I notice there's just not as much parking down there, but I think it's beautiful, right? The area is.
He's really doing a nice job.
It's a good trade-off.
Yeah.
Right. And the trade-off, the library was closed for a while, but we've now got a wonderful, beautiful new library. So, and I love the Sunday market in Milwaukie now, and try to hit that on Sundays when I'm in town.
Sure.
So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Have her say happy birthday.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Is there anything else? Is there anything you'd like to add that maybe you want to say about Milwaukie?
No, I guess I appreciate how civic focused folks are in Oregon. I've lived in a lot of places, and it's not always as civic minded, as Milwaukie is, and Oregon in general. And I know I really, I have my ballot that I'm going to be filling out. And, I love that I can just go down to City Hall and drop it off and know that it'll be where it needs to be.
In fact, you could go down there and meet the people if you wanted to. So. They have their open hours. Now, to end it, I want you to just say happy birthday or happy anniversary to Milwaukie in whatever way you'd like to say that.
Happy birthday, Milwaukie. You've aged beautifully.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. All right, thank you.